They dared a single dad to sleep with boss. She said, I'm tired of waiting. What took you so long? Marcus Chen stood in the break room at 11:47 p.m., his third cup of coffee growing cold in his hands as he stared at the city lights bleeding through the office windows. His phone buzzed with a text from his babysitter, Lily's asleep. Take your time. But time was exactly what he didn't have. Between raising a 5-year-old daughter alone and working double shifts as a junior architect at Morrison & Associates, Marcus had learned to function on 4 hours of sleep and pure determination. What he hadn't learned was how to silence the whispers that followed him through the hallways, or how to handle the bet his coworkers had made about him and the one woman he'd tried so hard not to notice. The dare had started innocently enough, the way most disasters do. During a Friday happy hour, Marcus had skipped to pick up Lily from kindergarten. His colleagues had apparently decided his life needed more excitement. By Monday morning, the entire office knew about the wager: get Marcus Chen to make a move on Catherine Morrison, the boss's daughter and the firm's rising star designer, and someone would walk away $200 richer. Marcus had overheard the conversation while retrieving project files from the storage room. Jake from structural engineering had laughed too loudly, his voice carrying through the thin walls. Come on, it's perfect. Single dad, workaholic, never takes a break, never dates. Kat's been eyeing him for months. Someone needs to light a fire under that guy. The humiliation had burned through Marcus like acid. He wasn't some charity case or office entertainment. He was a man trying to give his daughter the life she deserved after her mother had walked out on them when Lily was just 6 months old. He didn't have time for games or office politics or complicated relationships that could jeopardize everything he'd worked for. But Catherine Morrison wasn't making it easy. She'd started small, appearing at his desk with questions about projects she clearly already understood, staying late on nights when Marcus worked overtime, bringing him coffee that somehow always contained the exact amount of cream and sugar he preferred. At first, he'd convinced himself it was coincidental. Catherine was dedicated, ambitious, brilliant. She stayed late because she loved the work, not because of him. Then came the evening she'd found him in his car in the parking garage, forehead pressed against the steering wheel, silent tears streaming down his face. It was Lily's 5th birthday, and he'd missed the small party at his sister's house because a client presentation had run 4 hours over schedule. His daughter had blown out her candles without him. Catherine had knocked softly on his window, then waited as he pulled himself together. When he finally opened the door, she'd simply said, I told my father the presentation could have waited. He agreed. I'm sorry we kept you. It's not your fault, Marcus had managed, wiping his face. This is my job. Your job is important, Catherine had replied, crouching beside his car in her expensive heels and designer suit. But so is that little girl. Don't let anyone make you choose between being good at what you do and being who you are. Something had shifted in that moment. Over the following weeks, Marcus found himself looking for Catherine in meetings, timing his coffee breaks to coincide with hers, staying late not just to work but hoping she'd stop by his desk. The connection between them grew like morning glory vines, quiet but persistent, wrapping around the careful walls he'd built. But the dare hung over everything like storm clouds. Marcus couldn't shake the paranoia that Catherine's interest was manufactured, that his coworkers had somehow roped her into their cruel game. Every smile felt suspect. Every conversation felt staged. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. Marcus had finally agreed to join the team for happy hour, partly to show face and partly because Lily was spending the weekend with his sister. The bar was crowded, loud, filled with after-work energy. Catherine arrived 20 minutes after him, and Marcus watched as Jake approached her, whispering something that made her face go rigid. She'd looked across the room, found Marcus's eyes, and he'd seen something break in her expression. Without a word to Jake, she'd grabbed her coat and walked out. Marcus had followed, his heart hammering against his ribs. He found her 2 blocks away, standing in the soft rain that had started to fall, her hair plastered to her face, mascara tracking black lines down her cheeks. Did you know? She asked before he could speak. Her voice cracked. About their stupid bet. About how they've been watching us like we're some kind of reality show. I heard them talking, Marcus admitted, the rain soaking through his shirt. Weeks ago. I didn't know you knew. Catherine laughed, but it was hollow, painful. Jake just told me. Thought I'd find it funny. Told me I could. put the poor guy out of his misery and collect the winnings. She wrapped her arms around herself. Is that why you've been pulling away? Because you thought I was in on it? The vulnerability in her voice undid him. I thought you couldn't possibly be interested in me for real. I'm a single dad who lives in a one-bedroom apartment and drives a 12-year-old Honda. You're Catherine Morrison. You could have anyone. I don't want anyone, she said, stepping closer. I want the man who brings his daughter's artwork to the office and tapes it inside his desk drawer so he can look at it when he's stressed. I want the man who apologizes to the cleaning staff when he works too late and makes their job harder. I want the man who redesigned the Henderson project 3 times on his own time because he knew the original design would displace low-income families. She was close enough now that he could see the rain on her eyelashes. I'm tired of waiting, Marcus. What took you so long? I was scared, he whispered. Of messing up. Of not being enough. Of you realizing I come with complications. I have complications too, Catherine said. I'm the boss's daughter in a company where half the people think I didn't earn my position. I work 80-hour weeks because I'm trying to prove something to everyone except the one person who matters. She reached up, her hand trembling as she touched his face. I don't want perfect. I want real. Marcus kissed her then, in the rain on a Tuesday night, with the city sounds washing around them and years of loneliness finally breaking apart. When they separated, both breathless, Catherine smiled, really smiled, the kind that lit up her entire face. I should probably tell you, Marcus said, a laugh bubbling up from somewhere deep in his chest. Lily's been asking when the pretty lady from Daddy's work is coming for dinner. She's 5, but she's got decent instincts. How's Saturday? Catherine asked immediately. Saturday's perfect. They stood there in the rain, 2 people who'd been fighting their own battles, finally brave enough to stop fighting alone. The dare that had started as a joke became irrelevant, a footnote in a story that belonged only to them. Marcus realized that sometimes the greatest courage isn't in grand gestures but in allowing yourself to be seen, complications and all, by someone willing to see you completely. On Monday, Marcus walked into the office holding Catherine's hand. The whispers started immediately, but this time he didn't care. He'd learned that the opinions of people who bet on other people's lives didn't matter. What mattered was the woman beside him who'd waited patiently for him to be ready, and the little girl at home who deserved to see her father choose happiness. Love, Marcus discovered, wasn't about perfect timing or perfect circumstances. It was about 2 imperfect people deciding that together was better than alone, dare or no dare.